What's up, everyone? I am here today at the Premier Training Ground to get my DNA results. As you all know, I sent in my DNA test kit and got my results back. So I'm down here with one of the consultants, Charlene. She's going to take me through my report, and I just want to let all my fans know and kind of just introduce this to all my fans. So I'm just here to get a good reading on my DNA.
We are going to do a bit of a shorter version today. Now, what's come up already is that you're what we call a 50-50 split, or a mixed results panel on the genes. And what we mean by that is that you're 50% endurance, 50% power. Again, we've spoken before, and you actually are kind of doing this sort of training anyways.
And I feel like I break down my muscle fibers a lot more by doing 15-20 reps.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily pre-contest. I mean, I do that, what you call the off-season training as well.
Yeah.
So I think I've been doing that all these years, which has probably benefited me and probably put me in a level where I'm at today. It's showing that, you know, I benefit from the way I've been training anyway, which is high reps, and I'm really, really happy about that. So this, again, is a reason why it's good to know your DNA, because, you know, it gives you a heads up on how you should train, or the way you should, you know, channel your training.
But I think when it comes to Joe Public, they'll be able to maybe get to that point sooner than an elite athlete has, because the elite athlete wouldn't have had the genetics test, and they've just done experiment after experiment after experiment, trying to find the best training for them.
I mean, and then it reinforces what I've been doing, and what I'm going to do, obviously, it's continuing that way, but also maybe do some slight changes here and there, but keep that format.
And you have a gene allele that's called an RR.
Okay.
Now, what's nice about the RR variant, or RR allele, is that this is the one that only comes up in fast twitch muscle fibers.
Okay, so that would be like the sprinter genes?
Yeah, sprinter genes, that's a nice way of putting it. Okay. Yeah. So this just helps that sliding bit, how we slide our muscle fibers. This is, in fast twitch muscles, a bit of an advantage, really. And we see this on the panels coming up with elite strength, power, and speed athletes. But for your fans out there, on the gene panels, this does come up in 20% of the population, which is of the people tested, which is actually a big number. 20% sounds low, but it can be seen in a lot of people.
Okay.
So there is potential for a lot of people out there.
I think it goes to show, without the work ethic and the willpower and the training and the diet and nutrition, you just will not know what your genetic potential is, really. So like you just said, you know, 20% of the population do have that RR gene in the ACTN3. So I mean, it's commonplace in a sense, and you just have to be able to build on that and really, you know, work with your genes. I think so. That's a good thing to know. So I don't necessarily have an advantage. You know, I just have a nice mix, I believe.
Yes,
of
you
genes.
do. You've come up with the double I allele variant. Yeah. This is actually the endurance variant, and by endurance we don't mean cardio. We mean a style of training, which means, in our instance here, a higher rep, which you've already mentioned is what you go to.
I incorporate the drop sets, the supersets, the high reps into it, which kind of explains, you know, that's, you know, what my genetic marker would want me to do, actually, based on my DNA. So it's nice to know that I've been doing the right things for all these years. And probably is the reason why, you know, in bodybuilding and in what I'm doing in the fitness field, I've excelled, because, you know, I've been doing the right thing all along. So it only goes to show that it's actually good to know your DNA, because, you know, the earlier you know it, the better it is for you to kind of tailor your program towards that.
I think, you know, you've been lucky in that, you know, you didn't have your DNA results 10, 15, 20 years ago, but you have really naturally gone towards what has worked for you. I think is really nice.
It's a coincidence, but now, you know, I'm quite happy that I've been doing the right thing all along, and it's good to know it's right there in the report. It's great. It's awesome.
Well, let's move on a little bit from your results. We'll talk a little bit about your rep range choices based on your gene panel. Now, we know in bodybuilding traditionally, and maybe you can tell me a little bit more about this, because this is your area of expertise, is that 8 to 12 reps is usually our, you know, is standard. What bodybuilders standard. That's kind of where they go to. But actually, you know, you have been doing higher rep ranges. This has to do with your natural choices, and oops, that happened to be what your genes matched.
Yeah. I mean, you get a lot of people that say, oh, I should be training 8 reps, 10 reps, and they put specific numbers on the reps that they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I've always been a firm believer, you need to go on how you feel and how your body feels. It's worked for me. I mean, it may not necessarily work for someone else, but again, that's where the DNA results kind of tells you that, because for my DNA marker, that's what works best for me.
Yes.
And that's probably why I've seen results in such a good way, where someone else, it might be lower reps that probably works better for them. So I would say, guys, it's best to get your DNA checked, and it gives you an idea of what you should be doing. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to follow that, because some people are used to doing certain training a certain way.
Yeah.
But it would help to just get a general consensus on how you should be training.
Let's move to our next gene, COL1A1. Now, this one has to do with collagen, and I'm sure a lot of people out there that follow you and talk to you know a little bit about collagen. It's one of our building block tissues for tissues, and you actually have the most common form of this gene, the GG allele. And what this means is it's one of our injury risk genes, and you really have only a mild risk of tendon or ligament injury, which is a good place to be. That doesn't mean you go all haywire in the gym and train really hard all the time, and I know you're not going to do that anyways, but for those out there, if they had a similar result, they still need to be aware of injury prevention, periodizing their programs properly, ebbing and flowing through high intensity, low intensity, rest days, etc. You know all this.
The collagen, type that I have kind of works well with my form of training, because I don't train like a powerlifter. I don't go for 1 rep max. I don't go for 3 rep max. I train more high reps for my DNA, and that would probably put me anywhere at a low risk of getting injuries and stuff like that. So it kind of all ties in together if you look at it. And I've actually never had any major injuries or anything at all with my training. Which again, that reinforces, because 1, I train smart, and 2, I'm more about high endurance, high rep training. So I'm never gonna do 1 rep max or injured myself or pull a tendon. And I try to push myself to go heavy enough, even though I go high reps and stuff. So it's a great testament, really. I think this is exactly on in what I do and how it's been working with me. And I think again, to say that my nutrition part, a lot of supplementation I do, I was just going to talk about that. That's probably helped, because I'm big on a lot of macros, micros, and I'm big on herbs, and I'm big on a lot of stuff. So I'm big on fish oil, good fats, all that kind of stuff. They lubricate the joints. Glucosamine is great for tendons and stuff like that. So a lot of this stuff, glutamine helps, for recovery. So a lot of these stuff is stuff that I already take, which aids me, and plus I don't train in a reckless way. That's great.
Well, you built a nice foundation with all those, all the supplement choices and good whole foods that I know you eat in a healthy food plan, and you've been enhancing what you already have. But some people may need that guidance on, well, what do I have as a foundation? So what do I do with that now? And you can give more information on that in the future to your fans as well. If someone came up with similar results to you, everybody has different genes, obviously, or different variants of the genes. But if someone else did come up with this elite athlete status result, but they weren't living the life, let's say, the lifestyle, the training, the supplements, the good food choices, they may not express these genes like you have. So that's where, as personal trainers, we talked already about, this is where we're counseling and guiding our people on, look, this is what you can do with what you've got. Even if someone comes and they're not in the elite athlete status, that they can still get great results and do great things with their body and their lifestyle and their health. So I think it is very interesting how it can be, it is a mindset, really, isn't it?
But like Charlene just said, you have to have the lifestyle, you have to have the training, you have to have the supplements. There's so many different tangibles that needs to be in place in order for you to experience success with your genes. So you can have good genes, but how is your lifestyle? How's the other variants? So you need to have all that in point to really see benefits from your genes. So I think it's a combination of things, and I think the more we learn about it and the more we read into it, I think the better it is actually for everyone out there. And also, Charlene works with DNA Fit. Her Twitter is Positively Slim at Twitter, so check that out, and you can ask her questions about it, and she'll be more than happy to answer your questions. I'll have more information on Charlene on my website as well, so it'd be great. And you guys, if you have any questions about it, it'd be great to drop those questions down, and we'll be able to answer it for you. All right, peace. Okay, Charlene, I just want to say thank you for everything today. I mean, this has given me a lot of confidence to carry on what I'm doing, because it's reinforced the fact that I'm doing the right thing. So it just makes me want to even push through and carry on and see how far I can take my physique. So I just want to thank you for having me down here today, and I really appreciate the time and effort. You
my pleasure.
Sat down and had a chance to talk to me about everything. So again, thanks a lot.
Thank